Good morning, everybody. This is March the 8th, Friday, March the 8th, 2024. And I'm going to have something a little bit different on our channel today. This is not something that I have typically done, but I think it's worth doing. A friend of mine recently brought my attention to a June 2023 Reader's Digest magazine article. Now, this is March of 2024, but what I'm about to show you was from June of 2023, the Reader's Digest magazine. And I'm going to actually read this article to you. Not that you cannot read. I'm not trying to insult the intelligence of our viewers. But I just think that it's kind of a nice thing to do. You could follow along with me as I read this article. And I think that it will really draw your attention to some issues that are going on in the trucking industry. I never really thought, Stephen takes the Landline magazine. Stephen takes the OIDA, the Owner Operators Independent Drivers Association, the OIDA magazine, the Landline magazine. That's the only truck driving magazine that we get, but this was actually a Reader's Digest article from June of 2023. So let's take a look at it. June 2023. Reader's Digest. And on the cover of this magazine, How We Fail Our Truckers. A Reader's Digest original. How We Fail Our Truckers. So let's take a look at it. Big rig drivers are feeling mistreated, which is bad news for the rest of us. By Derek Burnett. Either Burnett or Burnett. By the way, this is being categorized as something of national interest. Sometimes when he's rolling through open country in his company's 18-wheeler, Mike Murphy, 52, looks across a scenic landscape and thinks about how lucky he is to be a truck driver. Those are the good days, but a bad day can be a nightmare. Start driving at 6 a.m. to get a load to a client's dock by 11 a.m. as he agreed. Roll in right on time, only to find 2 trucks ahead of you and the dockman saying it will be a few hours before you could unload. Murphy gets paid by the mile, so such idle time cost him many, but 25 years in the industry have taught him to bite his tongue. Well, can I use your bathroom? Nope. Drivers use the porta potty, and good luck finding a porta potty that's not an abomination. So much for the morning. Pick up another load, get moving again. Evening comes and he's required by law to limit his shift to 14 hours, which means it's time to start looking for a parking spot. The miles and minutes roll by with no success. He might pull into as many as 3 truck stops, all full and him exhausted and just wanting to be home. Often enough, the search for a parking place goes on until he's right up against his 14 hours and the road is beginning to look blurry. Such times he'll call his wife Alicia back home in Waddington, New York. Hey, he'll say, talk to me for an hour. I'm looking for a parking space. She'll stay on the phone with him until at last he finds a truck stop with an empty spot. He'll hang up and make his way into the facility, eager for the shower he might not have gotten yesterday. And if the trucking gods are displeased with him, only 3 of the showers will be working and a line of 15 other drivers will be waiting ahead of him. He's got to be back on the road in 10 hours. He needs to sleep. He'll buy something to eat, clean himself with baby wipes, and stretch out in the sleeping compartment of his rig. Tomorrow will be another day. Trucking has never been an easy way to make a living, but it's a lifeline for Murphy and 2 million or so other Americans who haul almost 11 billion tons of goods, 72% of the country's freight, over our highways and byways each year. For many, the job provides a stable income, often with health care and retirement benefits. Now more than ever, especially with the boom in e-commerce, we need those workers plying our vast network of interstates, warehouses, and stores. But just when we need drivers most, trucking companies find themselves struggling to maintain a steady workforce to haul all that freight. Not enough drivers means that trucking companies charge more for hauling goods, a cost that gets passed on to consumers, raising the price of almost everything. According to the American Trucking Association's, ATA, the leading industry group, the U.S. currently faces a shortage of 80,000 truckers, an astonishing figure that the organization expects to double by 2030. Daniel Murray, Senior Vice President of ATA's research arm, the American Transportation Research Institute, says that an insufficient number of drivers on the road creates not just an economic problem, but also a safety issue. Drivers are under more pressure by employers and customers to move goods faster, more frequently, he says. Pushed to get their freight delivered on time and to pick up the next load, many are exceeding the number of hours they're legally allowed to drive. A shortfall of drivers can also mean that the product you're looking for isn't on the store shelf when you want it. If you're relying on just in-time delivery system that prioritizes the synchronization of precise schedules, you can't count on drivers to get the goods there, and you're going to have disruptions in the supply chain, says Robert Puntes, president of the Eco Center for Transportation, a think tank. As alarming as this sounds, there's disagreement among industry experts about how big trucker shortage is and even whether the problem the industry faces can rightly be called a shortage. ATA's numbers are just not realistic, says Jason Miller, PhD, interim chair of the Department of Supply Chain Management at the Broad College of Business at Michigan State University. He concedes that there are occasional temporary shortfalls of truck drivers, but says that the labor market promptly fills them. For more than a decade, ATA has been sounding the alarm about a chronic, severe shortage, but Miller says that the statistics just don't support it. Louis Pugh, Executive Vice President of Owner-Operators Independent Driver Association, OIDA, agrees. There's never been a shortage, he says. That's just something that big carriers say to cover up business practices that aren't fair to drivers. Let's look at this highlighted text right here. A lot of guys would go through training and say, "This isn't for me." That's a highlighted quote. After all, Pew points out that 400,000 people earn their CDLs every year. You wouldn't see that if there were indeed a lack of labor. Well, then why does the industry buzz with talk of a shortage? The most likely answer is that there is indeed a labor problem in trucking, but within a turnover rate of 70% for smaller carriers and 90% for larger ones. What the industry has is a retention issue, not a lack of people willing to enter the field in the first place. That may seem a subtle distinction, but it has real repercussions for solving the crisis. It turns the question from where do we find more drivers to how can we keep the drivers we already have. ATA published a post last year saying that the turnover figures have been misunderstood and mostly represent churn or job hopping between truck carriers, which could be a sign of driver empowerment in a tight labor market. The OIDA publication Landline sees it differently, calling churn a sign of driver desperation and unhappiness. Either way, the Department of Transportation factor in drivers' decisions to quit the industry. Mike Murphy's bleary search for a place to lay his head for the night is a familiar tale to other drivers, who also tell of interstate off-ramps littered with human feces because truckers have nowhere to relieve themselves. Now, pause for a minute. And think about the videos that Stephen has recently uploaded. Stephen has uploaded videos of truck drivers throwing their stuff on the highway, which it says that they have nowhere to relieve themselves. Yes, they do. I have a bone to pick with this. Yes, they do. They can get a honey pot or a porta potty, something set up in their truck, and take care of their business in their truck and not litter it on the highways. Because look at that. It says the off-ramps are littered with human feces because truckers have nowhere to relieve themselves. Well, come on now. Have some decency about you and take care of your business in the cab of your truck, whether it's in a Walmart bag or whatever, and then dispose of it properly. Don't litter it on the highway. Okay, that's the end of my rant about that. Sorry about that, because that just really stuck out to me, because Stephen's made many videos about this. Okay, let's go on. It's even worse for female drivers, who make up to 6% to 8% of all truck drivers, but only 2.7% of long-haul truckers. One of them, Clarissa Rankin, has spoken unabashedly about the good parts of the industry on social media and talk shows. It's horrible, she says. Women have nothing in truck stops. Nothing. You name it, we don't have it. Tampons, panty liners, hair bows, like pullback scrunchies. Okay, pause, time out. Don't rely on truck stops for your tampons and panty liners. You should get those at Walmart. And Stephen has made many trips to Walmart in his truck. So, you know, I don't necessarily think that it's a truck stop's job to carry tampons and panty liners and hair bows. Just buy that stuff at Walmart and stock up on it. Okay, that's my little rant about that. The most you'll get is a pink hat that says truck driver. This year, Rankin opened her own line of cosmetics and travel essentials for women in trucking called Outspoken. She hopes to have her products in wide distribution at truck stops soon, but it's an uphill battle. The lack of convenience is an annoyance, but Rankin says of greater concern to women is the lack of security on the roads. She describes the truckers' only side of the truck stop as a whole nother world. Prostitution, sex trafficking, robberies. When a lot of trucks are parked end to end or side by side for the night, she says, you don't know who you're sleeping next to. You could be sleeping with a cold-blooded rapist and murderer right next to you. In a survey by CDL Life, an online community of truck drivers, 21% of drivers say that they have been the victims of crime, and 42% of those crimes were violent. Little wonder why so few women are attracted to the job. So, why aren't private companies responding to these obvious needs by building more, bigger, better, safer, well-lit truck stops with plenty of parking? It's the NIMBY effect. Not in my backyard. NIMBY, not in my backyard, says ATRI's Daniel Murray. Nobody wants a truck parking lot anywhere near their homes. At the same time, he says e-commerce and just-in-time delivery have created a need for truck parking much closer to the customers that they serve. The lack of infrastructure isn't just unpleasant for drivers, it affects their bottom line. On average, Murray says that truck drivers now are leaving their revenue routes 56 minutes early, which equates to almost $5,000 a year in lost wages just to find a place to sleep for the night. Big Boss is watching. Kind of like George Orwell's 1984, Big Brother's watching. One of the things that always has been appealing about truck driving is the lure of the open road, the freedom to be your own, on your own, making your own decisions. But today's drivers are subject to ever-increasing scrutiny, with companies placing cameras not only facing the road, but in some cases pointing at the driver in the cab. Now that is creepy. Every movement of the whole vehicle is monitored via technology in a bid to fend off lawsuits and reduce insurance costs. Clarissa Rankin now has her own truck and operates independently. But when she first started out and was driving for a major carrier, someone pulled out in front of her, forcing her to brake hard. Her phone rang immediately. It was the company. They said, "What was that hard brake about? We're going to have you take a class now." I said, "I'm not taking no doggone class. I'm not doing all that. If you don't do it, you can lose your job." But I didn't care. Every 5 seconds it was something, she says. No grown-up wants to be babysat. Amid agrees. The freedom of the road and all the romantic stuff goes out the window as soon as somebody points a camera in your face, he says. Drug testing, especially for marijuana, is another regulation that causes drivers to exit the industry in droves. Despite legalization initiatives in various states, interstate trucking prohibits drivers from having any trace of THC in their systems. Obviously, driving while high must remain illegal, just as with alcohol, but huge numbers of safe truckers are losing their jobs because trace amounts of the substance from legal consumption on their own time are still circulating in their blood. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration maintains a clearinghouse database of drivers whose routine drug tests have come up positive. According to ATRI's Murray, more than 90,000 truckers who tested positive have not started the administrative process to remove themselves from the clearinghouse and get back into long-haul trucking, which tells us that they're fine continuing to smoke pot and drive locally in jobs where the CDL is not a requirement. No one wants truck drivers working while under the influence, but allowing them the same access to recreational substances that others enjoy during their non-working hours could be a way of retaining workers who may otherwise quit the industry. A world of pain. Sitting behind the wheel of a truck for 70 hours a week for decades is a recipe for poor health. Veteran drivers recite their litanies of bad backs, obesity, heart problems. It's certainly on Mike Murphy's mind. One of the reasons I'm looking forward to getting out of driving is that I need to get active, he says. I've had my legs start to swell up and stuff like that. There's not really time to exercise, to do the things that you should be doing for your body. He tries to eat well, but it's not easy. His options are limited to fast food or whatever is available in the truck stop diners. Okay, I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to put my own pause on that and say that's just not true. Okay? Stephen does his own grocery shopping at Walmart or whatever, and he stocks up his refrigerator. He has a refrigerator and a microwave and a cooktop. And so when it says that it's limited, that's their word. It says it's limited to fast food or whatever is available in truck stop diners, which is notoriously unhealthy fare. That's just not true. Get a refrigerator in your truck, stock up on your refrigerator, and eat healthy. That's what Stephen does. Stephen has lost like about 70 pounds, and he is no longer in danger of his kidneys. He had chronic kidney failure, and he was destroying his kidneys until he started eating better. So he buys his own groceries. He stocks up his refrigerator. He has a cooktop in a cooktop stove, and he does his own. So that's just not true. You are not limited to fast food or whatever is available in truck stop diners, which is notoriously unhealthy. Yeah, that is all notoriously unhealthy, but buy your groceries like you would for your household and stock them up in your refrigerator. Okay, that's the end of my rant. All right, we're going to get back into the article. Just try finding fresh fruits and vegetables. A few facilities have experimented with healthier foods, but it remains next to impossible to get consistently nutritious meals while out on the road. BS. Refer to what I just said earlier. Be smart about it and take care of it. Just like the whole bathroom thing. Take care of your own business in the truck. But drivers' concerns about health and well-being aren't limited to diet and exercise. Driving is stressful work requiring prolonged vigilance and concentration. And the type of trucking where the labor crisis is mostly strongly felt long haul can be lonely, especially for people with families. You miss everything, Murphy says. Trucking becomes your life. After 25 years, you realize, wow, I've got nieces and nephews graduating from college, and I didn't get to watch them grow up. Through the years, Andrew Mead has seen a lot of young people enter the industry believing that the time constraints and separation from their families wouldn't be that bad. After a while, reality sets in, he says, and the people that you look for work closer to home. Mike Murphy figures that he has another 10 years of driving ahead of him before he can retire. He got into the industry back in the 90s when he realized that his small town simply wasn't big enough to market support the dog grooming business he had opened. In the end, he says, trucking has been a good job. It's allowed me to buy a house and a car and to live in a rural community, perks that he might otherwise not have enjoyed. He estimates that he'd have had to take 50% pay cut if he had taken work around Waddington. But you give up a lot, he says. I'm kind of looking forward to not having it anymore. So this goes on to show you, I'm not going to read all of this, the road ahead, government, private sector. So this is more about the national interest of truck driving. But anyway, I just wanted to read this to you and to point out that some of these things are not true, as I have highlighted, but many of them are. And again, we are looking at the June 2023. Oh, actually, I might have skipped part of the article. My bad. I think I probably skipped part of it. Maybe I didn't. Well, anyway, you get the gist of it. How we feel our truckers. Big rig drivers are feeling mistreated, which is bad news for the rest of us. Well, that was today's unusual video, and wasn't trying to insult your intelligence. I know you can read, but I just thought that perhaps you could listen to me read to you and understand some of the things that truckers are going through. Of course, Stephen owns his truck. He's not a company driver. And there are differences. There are differences of people that are owner-operators and that are company drivers. There's pros and cons to both. And Stephen has done both. Stephen has been a company driver, and he has obviously now currently an owner-operator. It's the fuel cost and the insurance, especially the fuel cost, that will get you as an owner-operator. But please let me know if you enjoyed this unusual video. Let me know if you followed along with the article. Let me know if you didn't like it. That's okay too. Remember to please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. And comments really do help us. Comments help this video get pushed out to more people. So the more comments that are made and to get the conversation going, that helps this video reach more people. And please give us a like if you liked it. If you didn't like it, also give us a dislike. Be honest about your thoughts on the video. So, all right. And Stephen and AJ, they delivered yesterday, and he was in, oh my goodness, Salt Lake City. Sorry about that. Stephen and AJ delivered in Salt Lake City yesterday, and he got a different load heading out this morning. So I believe I understood that Stephen is heading down to Texas from Salt Lake. I believe I understood that. So you all have a great day and enjoy this March weekend coming up. Again, this is Friday, March the 8th. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.